you're saying the Biden administration politicized all the data? Go back to what Senator Cantwell just said.
Fired Dr.
Go to
Krause.
the Trump Surgeon General.
They fired Dr. Krause. They fired all the people who questioned the orthodoxy. They fired Dr. Gruber, Dr. Krause,
Mr. Chairman, the Secretary of Health.
You are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like
and
this.
That is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
Everybody is corrupt, but you? Is that what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue
I
now...
don't even know what you're talking about.
Neither do we, Secretary Kennedy. Neither do we. To say things got a bit ridiculous on the Hill yesterday in the Senate Finance Committee hearing with RFK Jr., well, would be an understatement. What Secretary Kennedy faced in the Senate Thursday is the fact that Big Pharma has captured both political parties. And these shameless whores are still trying to force every American into injecting untested gene therapy drugs into their body. Now, all you have to do is take a look at this list of Big Pharma Senate donations compiled by American Majority's Ned Ryan to understand what you just witnessed. And this is just the Democrat senators. One suspects that the Republican committee members' campaign finance reports likely reflect similar payoffs. And despite the juvenile theatrics brought to you by Big Pharma, Secretary Kennedy rose to the occasion with hard facts and, actual data. A practice missing from the old guard, hence the new era at the CDC, as described by Kennedy in the hearing.
Finally, I would like to address the recent shakeups at CDC. These changes were absolutely necessary adjustments to restore the agency to its role as the world's gold standard public health agency with the central mission of protecting Americans from infectious disease. CDC failed that responsibility miserably during COVID, when its disastrous and nonsensical policies destroyed small businesses, violated civil liberties, closed our schools, caused generational damage in doing so, massed infants with no science, and heightened economic inequality. And yet all those oppressive and unscientific interventions failed to do anything about the disease itself. America is home to 4.2% of the world's population, yet we had nearly 20% of the COVID deaths. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And the people at CDC who oversaw that process, who put masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving. And that's why we need bold, competent, and creative new leadership at CDC.
And of course, Big Pharma money doesn't just buy senators. Here was the scene outside of the Capitol yesterday.
Hey, RFK, how many children did you kill today? Hey,
you guys think RFK?
How many children did you kill today?
Do you think RFK killed kids?
But RFK is on his way of doing so, yes, with the cuts to U.S. aid funding.
With the cuts to U.S. aid funding? What about the vaccines that are killing kids?
I'm not going to engage with you.
The voice you heard behind that camera was our very own Allison Steinberg. She sat right behind RFK Jr. essentially in that explosive hearing, and she joins us now from D.C. Allison, I know that was quite the hearing to sit in on.
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely explosive. Bombshells dropped left and right. I thought the most interesting part of the hearing, though, was the fact that both Democrats and Republicans alike came together to absolutely grill RFK, to try to catch him in a gotcha so that he wasn't able to answer for himself or defend himself in the work that he's doing at the CDC. As we know, he's actually trying to get to the root cause, which is something these lifelong career politicians refuse to do or look at. They just want to slap a Band-Aid over all of these problems, and their solution solution to everything is more vaccines, more drugs for American citizens. But RFK is actually trying to get to the root cause of the issue and root out the corruption at the deepest level, which I think he's doing a great job at so far. They, of course, are very upset about this and really didn't even give him any opportunities to answer these questions that they asked him. They would ask him a question and then they just immediately start talking over him. And at a certain point, like 3 hours into it, towards the end of it, he's just like, I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that you don't want me to answer your questions. So, if you want to have a conversation with me, you can reach out. But it just goes to show that this is all really political theater put on by both Democrats and Republicans so that they can get their, 15-second clip for social media. They can add this and compile this to their, next political campaign. They don't actually want to get answers. They don't actually want solutions. They just want to, put forward their script that's been written for them and continue on with these ridiculous talking points that don't actually help Americans, but hurt Americans.
Well, and they also want to make sure that Big Pharma is aware that their money was well spent, right? They're proving to Big Pharma that their investment was well made. I think that the next time we cover one of these hearings, when RFK Jr. is on the Hill like that, perhaps every time they go to a certain member of a committee, they're in our lower third. So that's the chyron you see below that kind of tells you the headline of what's going on. We probably should actually just we should be prepped ahead and put how much money said member received from Big Pharma donations, Allison.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because clearly every one of these individuals is paid off. I mean, you heard in your opening clip there, Elizabeth Warren was trying to make it seem as though RFK got the position because of money that he took. She literally made this movement and he fired back at her and was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Miss Warren, but you're the one who's actually taken money from Big Pharma, $855,000 to be exact. So yeah, all of these people are paid off. It's well known. And then Bernie Sanders even went on to admit that as if it was some sort of justification for their stance on this vaccine issue. Well, he said point blank, we're all paid off and taking money from Big Pharma. So I guess that's just the norm, and we're just to expect that and be okay with that. I think RFK is one of the few that probably hasn't been funded by Big Pharma, so he's actually willing to come forward and do what no one else has ever done, which is try to root out the corruption and perhaps drain the swamp as far as the health situation is concerned. But no one else is doing that, and that's why they vehemently despise him and will do whatever they can to try to shut him down.
You're absolutely right. The exchange with Bernie Sanders was one of the more bizarre moments that I will say I've ever witnessed in a Senate hearing, because he kind of owned himself and then he flipped it into something completely different. And I love when RFK just matter-of-factly said, that's why I included that in the introduction, Senator, I have no idea what you're talking about, because that's exactly how I felt. Look, there's the senator sitting there beside a Pocahontas. That's exactly how I felt when I listened to that. There was one senator at least, and that was Republican Ron Johnson, who has been one of the only senators really that's been outspoken. Somewhat Rand Paul more about the Georgia Senator Johnson about the jab, right? Senator Johnson did get the data that the Democrats and the Uniparty Republicans like Patsy wanted to slide past, why they didn't let that's the information that Senator Ron Johnson gave. Let's take a listen to that and talk about it. Here's Ron Johnson.
Here's the facts. The VAERS system that was touted in October of 2020, this great safety surveillance system on COVID, a few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own system. But VAERS shows that there have been 38,742 deaths reported on VAERS worldwide associated with the COVID vaccine. 38,742. 9,252 of those deaths occurred on the day of vaccination or within 1 or 2 days.
2 days, Alice, and I'm sure that's not even, we know the VAERS is not even the accurate data. There's many, many thousands more, I'm sure. But that's pretty damning information, and RFK did get to speak about that a little bit, yes.
Yeah, he did. And that was another really critical point that was made throughout this hearing, was that these Democrats and Republicans, mind you, you mentioned Ron Johnson is really the only one who was there. There was actually two. There was also Senator Roger Marshall, who I appreciated his stance. We can talk about that later if you'd like. But Ron Johnson pointed out the VAERS data, which is really the only hard data there is to go off as far as the COVID era was concerned. All of these Democrats and Republicans, for the most part, tried to get one over on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. by saying, actually, a number of times they tried to get him in another gotcha by saying, how many people died during COVID? How many millions of lives were saved from the vaccine? And RFK Jr. made the point repeatedly, there is no hard data to go off of. The numbers have been skewed and manipulated by the Biden regime. There is no evidence to support any of what they are trying to push. So the only thing we really can go off of is this VAERS data, which Senator Ron Johnson presented there. And these are, direct reportings from people who have suffered adverse reactions themselves. So he tried to make that point. Of course, Democrats and Republicans shut it down, tried to, discount the validity of this data. And Robert F. Kennedy's pushed back. I think we have a clip of him responding to this if we want to play that.
And I'm approaching this as a doctor, not as a senator. I am concerned about children's health, seniors' health, all of our health. And I applaud you for joining the president in a call for radical transparency. Thank you for that. I said yesterday, I believe it, that President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed. If he had been President Obama, he would have gotten it. But because of Operation Warp Speed, forcing the federal government to come to a vaccine development within 10 months when others said it couldn't be done, we saved millions of lives globally, trillions of dollars, we reopened economies, an incredible accomplishment. Mr. Secretary, do you agree with me that the president deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. That was phenomenal.
Let me ask you, but you just told Senator Bennett that the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID.
Wait,
that was a statement.
I did not say that.
Okay, then let me ask, because you also
Senator, I just want to make clear, I did not say that.
We'll check the record. That's a question of fact. You also said that you were also, as lead attorney for the Children's Health Defense, you engaged in multiple lawsuits attempting to restrict access to the COVID vaccine. Again, it surprises me that you think so highly of Operation Warp Speed when, as an attorney, you attempted to restrict access. But let me ask.
I'm happy to explain why.
I had 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
So, I mean, again, didn't let him answer there, as I touched on earlier. But also, I think this is really a critical point, because while RFK highlighted the fact that these vaccines actually did cause severe adverse reaction and killed millions, according to the VAERS data, they also drilled in on this point of Operation Warp Speed, of course, where they really tried to get him to say that he supported Operation Warp Speed, which he ended up stating, yes, he did. But I think the overall point he was trying to make is that two things can be true at once. Yes, Operation Warp Speed was good in the sense that it helped to reopen the country and let society resume and we could, start participating in life again. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that the vaccines are good. And he was trying to point out the harm that the vaccines did. They wouldn't understand that. They couldn't seem to wrap their heads around that concept, though. So it was very conflicting, and it seemed as though they were really trying to divide RFK from Trump and his efforts.
You're absolutely right. It's a new tactic we're seeing them use. Albert Bourla, Pfizer, is employing the same tactic, saying he needs a Nobel Peace Prize. The tech CEOs that we saw at the White House for dinner last night are employing a similar kind of flattery, trying to appeal to the president. They've learned from the first term, and now they're trying a new tactic, a new strategy. Will it work? Allison, that's what remains to be seen, and that's what we're going to continue discussing actually in the show. Thank you so much, Allison. Very in-depth reporting. I'm glad you sat in on that, because it's so different when you're sitting there, even for the rest of us who are just watching it on TV, and you got a chance to see those protesters and talk to different members. So thank you for that excellent reporting. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Emerald. You as well.
And like I said, tech oligarchs are employing a new strategy in appealing to President Trump in his second term. We saw that on display last night with the Bill Gates, the evil Bill Gates, saying very nice things about President Trump as opposed to what he used to say about him. Will it work? Our very own Kara Castronova is standing by the White House right now. We're going to take a quick commercial break, Kara, and we'll be right with you. So stick around. We'll talk to Kara.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. Let's face it, you can't trust Big Pharma. They've already tried to block ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and raise prices on everything from antibiotics to your daily meds. Well, there's good news. All Family Pharmacy is standing up for medical freedom and helping people get the treatments they actually want. My family and I use them all the time. They made it easy and affordable without the runaround. While other pharmacies are jacking up prices, they've actually dropped theirs. Ivermectin now starts at just $2 a capsule. Use my promo code Lindell10, you get an extra 10% off of that. You need ivermectin, antibiotics, or methylene blue, you name it, they've got it. They make it simple. You fill out a short online form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and your meds ship fast right to your front door. If you want to be prepared and have your medications on hand, this is your new pharmacy. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10 saves you even more. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be here with this group of people. They're leading a revolution in business and in genius and in every other word I think you could imagine. There's never been anything like it. The most brilliant people are gathered around this table. This is definitely a high IQ group.
The whole point of voting for President Trump in 2024 was to avoid the Biden tyranny supported by the tech oligarchs. Here's Trump now in 2025, hosting the future surveillance tyranny supported by the same tech oligarchs. This is the second dumbest thing President Trump has ever done. The first, of course, was turning the country over to Dr. Fauci for Operation Poison Speed. Nobody voted for President Trump to suck up to those tech oligarchs. What's next? Pickleball matches with Obama? President Trump has made a lot of terrible moves over the years. He's done a lot of great things. Not downplaying that. We know that. We talk about them often. I voted for him 3 times. But he has made some terrible moves. Some. But sitting down to talk with Mark Zuckerberg on his right and the evil Bill Gates on his left about artificial intelligence at the White House is the worst move possible. The Trump administration has demoralized Trump voters once again, especially when Bill Gates reveals the topics of discussion between himself and the Trump administration, which includes these. Listen.
The president and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate some of these diseases. He mentioned polio, which is one that we're close. We don't need new science on that one. For some like HIV and sickle cell, we do need new science, but the U.S. Has the seeds that in the same way that Warp Speed took those seeds and put them together, I think something fantastic can be done. AI for our foundation is that we want a doctor for everyone in Africa through AI. We want farmers to have incredible advice and, kids to have a chance to learn. So The work being done by the people at this table is changing the world. It's, coming fast, so it's great. We all get together and talk about how the U.S. can lead in this key area and apply it even to the poorest outside the U.S. as well as to our great citizens. So thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Look, we don't want to hear any recommendations or have any kind of collaboration with anyone on Epstein's client list, especially Bill Gates, whose own ex-wife acknowledged publicly the troubling relationship between her ex-husband Gates and his pal Jeffrey Epstein. And remember what a sitting congressman, Representative Thomas Massie, had to say on this very show just yesterday about who exactly Jeffrey Epstein was. Is there evidence pointing towards Epstein being a foreign asset of perhaps, say, Israel or one of our own assets? What do you believe?
I believe he was an asset of our intelligence and of Israel's intelligence. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between the two, but you played a segment of the press conference yesterday where I think if you read between the lines and listen to Mr. Edwards, the attorney for the survivors, he gave us a roadmap of where to look and suggested that we should be looking at the CIA, that they probably have some documents or may have some documents that are relevant to this. So that gives me more of a roadmap. Hopefully, James Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, will subpoena that information as well from the CIA. And then we also have in the court records, I know you know this, from when Acosta gave the sweetheart deal or was part of the sweetheart deal, he was the prosecutor at the time, gave the sweetheart deal to Epstein. In the court documents, you can see that he says that it's above his pay grade, that government intelligence was involved, that Epstein was involved with government intelligence, and that may be the reason why he got a lighter sentence. And by the way, when he got the lighter sentence, he was able to recommit all of the sexual abuse crimes for hundreds of victims, as we know.
So is this 5D chess or not? Joining us now from the White House is our very own Cara Castronova, who was around yesterday as tech people started to kind of pour into the White House. There's also another dinner tonight. We're not sure on who's confirmed for that. Yeah, Cara, you're someone, okay, you and I sitting here on TV next to each other are two people who have been significantly suppressed and targeted as well by big tech. What are your thoughts about Trump inviting them to the White House and having that kind of cordial conversation with them?
I mean, it was jarring for me to be able to actually see Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, two people who MAGA actually despise. Obviously, Zuckerberg for his censorship of so many Trump supporters like you, Emerald, and Lindell TV, and myself, and Bill Gates, who MAGA just doesn't like because of his vaccine stand, sitting next to the president. And just knowing they were here at the White House sort of gave me this weird adrenaline rush. I really had questions. I knew I wasn't going to obviously get to ask questions of these people, but they were here for that dinner last night. And so many people have texted trying to get the scoop. Why is Trump meeting with these people? Is this 3D chess? Is it a chess move to bring big tech to the table, or a case of keeping your enemies close? Or is he just making a move that MAGA doesn't like? So people have a lot of questions, and I have never received so many texts from medical freedom people specifically wondering why President Trump is sitting next to Bill Gates. It just didn't really look good optically, Emerald. So a lot of questions on, media obviously has a lot of questions as well. And I did get to, in the very least, ask a representative who was here yesterday from Amazon, Kim Majerus. She's the VP of Global Education at Amazon Web Services, a question. She's the only one that came out and did a gaggle and really spoke to press. So I really wanted to press her on the censorship, obviously, of conservatives by all of these giant tech companies that conservatives despise so much. A lot of conservatives, not all, but a lot. And obviously, after January 6th, Amazon Web Services canceled the account for Parler, which was huge news. So I asked her about that, and she didn't like the question. Please take a listen to my question yesterday in that gaggle.
Ms. Ventura, what are the terms and services when it comes to political beliefs? Because a lot of people from the past, especially conservatives, are concerned. Can Amazon Web Services shut someone down over their politics?
I think we have our use case policies that you could refer to at any point. We have a high standard. But again, I think the most important part is the use case terms and conditions are very clear and they must be correct.
What about Parler? With Parler, I know that.
Yeah, I'm not going to cover that at this point. I'm here to celebrate the great investments that we as an organization are making in AI and education for our educators as well as for those students in our workforce in the future.
Watching that again, she didn't like it. She didn't like those questions. I was actually the first one to get and she just was like in shock. I think that there was a negative question. I don't think it was a negative question. I was basically expecting her to say, we're going to be fair. We're not going to censor conservatives. We're here at a conservative White House. It's a MAGA White House now. You know, we're here to break bread with President Trump. Of course, we're not going to hold people's political viewpoints against them when it comes to Amazon Web Services. That was what I was expecting to hear, not a complete derailment of the question. Her basically just saying something to me that didn't make a lot of sense, just referring to the terms and guidelines of Amazon Web Services, which, really wasn't the answer I think that people were looking for.
Well, it was clear the underlying text of what she said, so what she didn't say was, you're not supposed to ask me those kind of questions. Well, she could have just said a blanket statement like, oh, we believe in free speech and we strive to blah, 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 something that was, not really saying anything just to answer. It was definitely a media faux pas on her part. But this is something, they're definitely coming to pay homage to President Trump, to suck up, right? But look, here's what a lot of people don't know. When I covered the White House, I would always talk to Secret Service. When you're going through the gate and you're getting your bag scanned, I would, be friendly and ask questions. And I asked one Secret Service agent, who's the most frequent guest here? Who's like somebody famous that we don't know comes in all the time? Just to kind of get the inside scoop a little bit. I would always just ask random questions. And he was like, oh, it's the Facebook guy. He's here like every week for dinner. And I was like, Mark Zuckerberg? He said, yeah, that guy. He comes about every week for dinner. And that was in the first Trump term. So here they are. Now more of them are coming to suck up. And that's in line with what Allison Steinberg and I were talking about in the last segment. We saw that a lot on the Hill, right? From the senators who are pro-tech oligarch, pro-big pharma. They're now using this dangling the thought of the notion of a Nobel Peace Prize for Operation Warp Speed. Albert Bourla, in particular, of Pfizer, he's someone who pushed specifically himself for me to get censored, especially after I noted he was late to taking the jab himself. In fact, he was headed to Israel, and Netanyahu told him, wait, you're coming here and you haven't had your vaccine? Netanyahu and his wife were absolutely appalled. And then, and only then, allegedly, did Bourla get his jab. And now he's out there saying that Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for Operation Warp Speed. Look, it's something to keep our eye on. We hope that the president has 5D chess in mind. But history tells us that we must be vigilant and we must also raise our voices. We don't have as much money as those tech oligarchs, but we do have the power of our voice and we have the numbers. We are stronger in numbers than them, Kara.
100%. We are stronger in numbers. I mean, it is a new time and era, I think, with all these techno bureaucrats and these big companies. It's just so different, I think, in the past couple of years. And maybe President Trump realizes that. Maybe he realizes that he has to get these people on his side. And like I said, bring your enemies closer. But a lot of people are just suspicious at this point that these are the new generation of people running the world, basically, is the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, the Palantirs of the world, the AI big companies of the world that are all here at the White House breaking bread with the president, basically kissing the ring. So there's just a lot going on, I think, with that in the conversation here at the White House behind the scenes of why are they here? Do they belong here? MAGA doesn't like it, obviously, as you know, Emerald, and it really was bad optically, I think, specifically with the Bill Gates and the Mark Zuckerberg, who has been just so terrible to MAGA.
So real quick, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance going on behind you. Our viewers are watching it play out. There's cars with flags. There's the military. ceremony behind you. This is a swearing in of ambassadors, right? I want to address that because people are probably like, what is going on? But there's a swearing in of ambassadors going on right now at the White House, right?
There is, and it's a big ceremony. It wasn't a swearing in, it was a credentialing. So a number of limos came in today with very large group of ambassadors. So it was like a blanket credentialing of ambassadors, and there was a lot of military here. There still are behind me, obviously. They welcomed them in, and now they're seeing them out as each limo passes by. That is a group of ambassadors credentialed by the president in the Oval Office, probably just a half an hour ago, maybe.
It's really special to see those kind of this kind of ceremony and tradition take place. I always really enjoyed it when I was at the White House, particularly when foreign dignitaries would come, when leaders, there's a car passing behind you now, when other countries' leaders would come and they roll out the red carpet and they do this whole, really beautiful welcome that it kind of instills in you this patriotism, right? And this national pride as you watch it. And I wish every American got to experience that. I think it really instills your patriotism, or revives it. And one of the people who deals with that is a good friend of mine and a good friend of a lot of people here at this network. That's Miss Monica Crowley. You would know her from talk radio. You know her from her different TV appearances, from the Monica Crowley podcast. But now she is the chief of protocol at the White House, which is, I think, the best job in the administration. And you actually got a chance to talk to her recently, right?
I did, yes. And she's actually referred to as Ambassador Crowley. So speaking of ambassadors, and she does have a great job. Yes, and she gets to manage visits with foreign leaders. I'm sure she was there today with this credentialing. She oversees the White House ceremonies, where there's so many, and the state dinners, which must be just a lot of fun and a lot of stress, I would say. But she also advises the president and the Secretary of State on diplomatic etiquette, which is important because there's different etiquette in every country. And she was telling me off camera just how, something might be offensive to somebody in another nation that might not be the case here, or, a handshake means different things. So there's just a lot of research that goes into her job, which is just so important. And she's very, very media friendly. She does interviews out here all the time. She's always smiling. A lot of these people that work at the White House or in the cabinet are very stressed out, but she enjoys her job tremendously. And it's very obvious in the way that she carries herself. And she was out here the other night, and she took about 5 to 10 minutes, which is a long interview, to talk to me about a lot of fun things. So here's a clip from my interview with Monica Crowley.
The president is always really dedicated to trying to find common ground with whatever world leader comes before him in the White House, because this president, of course, is driven by strategic imperatives. At the end of the day, this president is all about increasing safety, security, prosperity here at home, of course, but also around the world. He wants everybody to lower the temperature in terms of conflict, and also to up the ante in terms of prosperity, because he believes if everybody is at peace or at relative peace and the world is making a lot more money, then therefore the world will be at greater peace. And that is the objective. And that's what we strive to do in the Office of the Chief of Protocol.
And then later on in that interview, I mentioned that Ben Franklin had a similar job, and she was in agreement because he, from what I understand, I did a lot of research on, obviously, the Revolutionary War and how important it was, just the etiquette and the diplomacy and setting the table from when George Washington came in, or for stuff that he needed. Monica Crowley sort of similar to Ben Franklin in the fact that she's not actually the president, but she's sort of schmoozing with these foreign leaders and making them feel comfortable, which is obviously really important for President Trump when he later negotiates with them and talks about those really important things. So she's there to welcome them in, make them feel welcome, charm them, and she is so charming. She's perfect for the job. So she is similar to Ben Franklin, which I pointed out, and she agreed. So it's always nice talking to Monica Crowley.
And I'll tell our viewers, she's just like that in real life. What you see on TV actually is not put on. That is what you get. Her role is essential because it can make the difference of peace or successful negotiations, right? How these leaders are received and the protocol that is implemented. And I love, too, how well she laid out, because this is consistent with Trump, his peace through prosperity strategy. This is how he often appeals to these nations in conflict, is like, look, you work with us, we'll make sure you economically benefit. We'll set you on the right track. And speaking of economics and prosperity and foreign aid, I do want to bring this up because I think this is a great thing that the administration has done, that President Trump has done. We've talked about it for a while. That's the pocket rescission. That did go through. We had Wade Miller of the Center for Renewing America on our show many times promoting this strategy by the president. He implemented it, meaning that the White House put out a press release about it. They cut almost $5 billion in foreign aid and international organization funding that the president said violated America's first priorities. He noted that he was getting America's fiscal house in order by cutting this government spending that is woke, weaponized, and wasteful. Big deal. We need to talk about it more, and we will next week. But we want to applaud the president and the administration on this strategy. It was the right way to go. It's not employed very often. Very smart strategy on their part, Kara. We're out of time. It's good to see you. It's going to be a fun day at the White House. There's quite a bit on the agenda. So everyone in the audience, keep it tuned right here to Lindell TV, because Kara Castronova is going to be there all day, and she's going to keep you abreast of the latest developments, whether it be the executive orders he's signing later or the announcement he's making at 4 p.m. today. So stay tuned to LindellTV.com. Thanks, Kara.
Thanks, Alice. Thank you.
On Thursday, Sheriff Dar Leaf made public at least 4 pages of evidence that Dominion voting machine employees and agents in Serbia were in contact with Chinese nationals to alter firmware that operates inside America's election equipment. Now, why would they do this? Well, they probably did this in order to fake the certification of our voting machines. According to Sheriff Leaf in his post, Dominion wanted Chinese nationals who worked for Hewlett-Packard to modify our election firmware, and then they basically tested the fake stuff outside of the United States. I just want you to understand how important this is, okay? This is a bombshell discovery because it proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that hostile foreign nations are conspiring, modifying our election systems in order to cheat and change the results of elections to their preferred candidates. The leaked emails also confirmed the location of Dominion Voting Systems offices in Belgrade, Serbia. You ask yourself, why Serbia? I asked that same question when I first was presented with the evidence. Here's why. Because Serbia is the westernmost outpost of China's influence in Europe. The CCP has a heavy presence in that tiny country. The emails contain the details about how components in our election systems were faked and parts were intentionally mislabeled so that they would appear to be compliant with our laws. This, folks, is the smoking gun material that our voting machines cannot be trusted. What else do we know about the election offices in Serbia? Well, here's Patrick Byrne explaining what happened there during the 2024 election.
Peter, I was surprised, but given that the president's lawyer went that far, I can confirm that that's the case, that the Serbian office, which really has been around for 20 years, no matter what name brand the computer is there in your nation running elections, underneath it's Serbia is connecting. That office got shut down for 5 days. I understand it got smoked. But in some kind of strange, somebody did take some action and neutralize that, which is the only reason we had a fair election.
So, the seal of the 2024 election by the Democrats was stopped by jamming the computers in the Serbian office, according to Patrick Byrne. And here's the ultimate plot twist. Who is a partner in all these computers in the data center in Serbia? Watch this.
Oh, this is, I'll drop something big on you. General Flynn said, I can tell you things. If I've told them to the government, I can tell them, give them 3 days, I can tell them to you, Emerald. So here's something no one knows outside the government yet. This is big. So that Serbian office, Belgrade, Serbia, it has a there's the office, and then like most modern companies, it has a data center. There's a data center where it's heavy computers are done. That data center was built by a noted Serbian entrepreneur whose name escapes me. It has more consonants than vowels. It's but a Serbian entrepreneur of note who's also the Huawei representative for much of Europe. Huawei being the Chinese system, and who was his partner in starting that data center in Belgrade, Serbia, where the systems are that hack the world's computers are hosted out of. Who was his partner? 3 guesses, Emerald. 3 guesses. Who if you're really cynical at this point, who would his partner have been?
I don't know.
John Brennan. The jokes write themselves. The jokes write themselves.
So now you can finally see the nexus of Venezuela and China and Serbia and the Obama-Biden CIA all in one place. And they were all working together to control America's elections. And that's the absolute truth. Up next, more emails related to elections are making a splash in Arizona. We go there next after the break.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Says that someone went into the program and clicked on something that said, I want to purge all the results for this election. That goes through and that deletes all of the records within it. And if you actually take a look, you can see the success. It's like the second line up, that it completed successfully. And it literally deletes all of the files on the NAS directory as well, which is where all the results from the election are contained, where all the images from the election are contained, and all those other details. So some individual went into an application and they chose specifically to run something that would clear all records in the system that was used to generate the official results the day before an audit started.
That's right, folks. 5 years after they clearly stole the 2020 election, officials in Arizona's corrupt Maricopa County continue resisting legal orders to preserve their computer files from the 2020 election. In a letter released recently by the Maricopa County Recorder's Office, the software company that has control over the county recorder's emails from the 2020 election has determined that those records hold, quote, no historical value whatsoever, and as such, they plan on deleting those emails from their archives. In other words, any chance of determining whether the 2020 election was stolen in Maricopa County and how complicit local officials may or may not have been is about to be lost forever. It's so obvious. It's so right in front of your face that there's a cover-up afoot. The only question that remains to be answered is, whether the corrupt officials in Maricopa County will get away with erasing the evidence that the 2020 election was stolen. Now, remember, President Trump was winning in Maricopa County on election night in 2020. That is till a truckload of ballots appeared in the wee hours of the night and dumped 18,000 ballots off at the elections office. Trump went on to lose that county by 18,000 votes. My next guest, an election integrity expert, tweeted that, quote, it's possible Maricopa County deleted the correspondence related to the files on their end, but retained the recorder's office communication. So, in other words, the fight for the truth, despite the seemingly insurmountable odds, continues to be fought for by the handful of brave few citizens. That activist is Marissa Hamilton. She joins us now. Marissa, the timing of this request is so interesting. I'm surprised they still exist. I am actually shocked they have not deleted them before now. Just as shocked as I am that Tulsi Gabbard revealed that there were burn backs still in the intelligence community that were set to be deleted, right, with evidence. She said explicitly, evidence of 2020 election fraud, and somehow they survived all these years. Marissa, tell us what's going on in Maricopa. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me on. It is so interesting how hard these tyrants will work to try to hide what they did. You know, they've told us for years, they've gaslighted us that they have nothing to hide. And yet, why then would our new Freedom Caucus Maricopa County recorder have to send a letter ordering the county to preserve the records? And the interesting thing, it's not a software company that he's fighting against with preserving these records. It's the Republican Board of Supervisors that control access to these records. And I think that the public needs to know that last year in 2024, Chairman Thomas Galvin of the Board of Supervisors concocted a scheme with the now disgraced fired recorder Stephen Richer to take control over all of the incoming recorder Justin Heap's databases, software, records, even $5 million of his budget and his entire IT department, so that they would be able to control everything and hide the truth from the public once he took office in January.
How damning do you think these emails are for local officials from the 2020 election? And look, let's be clear here. If they delete this, there are at least word of investigations. The Trump DOJ has sent preservation records to multiple states for this kind of information. If they delete this is a big problem and could be even bigger problems for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really funny because the new board tries to pretend all the time, like Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, that she's super MAGA and this big super Trump supporter. And yes, the county constantly is doing things to try to sabotage the new recorder, to try to sabotage election integrity and hide what they're doing. This isn't the first time this year that they have tried to hide what they're doing. And so these records, I think, are going to be very telling. I reviewed over 27,000 pages of records for the report that you showed on your screen of the gagged and watched report, where we identified that they were working directly in concert with CISA to abuse our election security dollars to run a surveillance operation on people like me that want accountability in our election administration. They went after Kari Lake fiercely. They used the records show that they used county resources to go after Kari Lake and do the research for that defamation case that they launched against her. So there's so much election interference that we've seen already that we know exists. And the disgraced fired recorder added me to a subpoena in that Kari Lake case and subpoenaed over 101 pages of records from me that are pages they largely already had, which have a lot of damning information, especially from the 2022 election, where the reconciliation shows that it doesn't match up. And that election I regard as having been stolen from Kari just based on that documentation alone. So I think that they have something to hide. It makes sense why they want to delete these records. The county has only confirmed that they have preserved the records that the recorder is requesting. When I asked them to clarify on the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors side of the records, they would not confirm nor deny if they have deleted or preserved those records. I think that this is definitely something the DOJ needs to step into immediately and send them a demand for preservation of their records.
You're right. That's the next step that needs to happen, is that the Trump DOJ needs to send that kind of records preservation letter to Maricopa County. That's exactly what needs to happen. And you're absolutely right about the 2022 election records, especially that reconciliation discrepancy. It's something we saw in Fulton County, Georgia from 2020, but it was a reconciliation discrepancy in 2022 with Carrie Lake. And I bet those emails are very revealing. Marissa Hamilton, this is something to keep our eye on. When there's more developments, perhaps when the Trump DOJ does something, which maybe they will, let's revisit this. Keep us posted, okay? Our audience will be very interested in this story.
Absolutely. You can follow me on X at Marissa Hamilton, and I will keep getting those FOIAs, keep getting those public records, and bringing transparency to the process so that the public can hold our elected officials accountable. We have a republic if we can keep it, and it's our job to do this work to keep it.
Amen. And you can find out more about her organization and support them at easyaz.org. EasyAZ. It's easy to remember. easyaz.org. Thank you for the work you do, Marissa, and for bringing this to our attention. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Up next, we have more inside details on this operation in Venezuela and how Russia might factor into what we're seeing. That's after the break with our own Brandon Weichert. So stay with us.
Let's face it, you can't trust Big Pharma. They've already tried to block ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and raise prices on everything from antibiotics to your daily meds. Well, there's good news. All Family Pharmacy is standing up for medical freedom and helping people get the treatments they actually want. My family and I use them all the time. They made it easy and affordable without the runaround. While other pharmacies are jacking up prices, they've actually dropped theirs. Ivermectin now starts at just $2 a capsule. Use my promo code Lindell10, you get an extra 10% off of that. You need ivermectin, antibiotics, or methylene blue, you name it, they've got it. They make it simple. You fill out a short online form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and your meds ship fast right to your front door. If you want to be prepared and have your medications on hand, this is your new pharmacy. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10 saves you even more. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Promo code Lindell10.
Two old U.S.-built F-16 warplanes owned by the Venezuelan Air Force buzzed a U.S. Arleigh Burke-class destroyer operating near Venezuelan territory recently. The incident has sparked a wave of concern among many people on social media who want to know just how those planes were allowed to get within firing range of the American warship and why. As we've been covering here, the U.S. has been building up its forces against the socialist, narco-terrorist, cartel-run supporting regime of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. The Venezuelan military claims that their recent flyby was meant to signal to the Americans that they need to back off. But there are no signs of abatement from the U.S. military. In fact, a fairly large military exercise was conducted in Puerto Rico by the United States Marine Corps in what appeared to be a mock invasion of Venezuela. So I don't think the White House got whatever message the Venezuelans were trying to send with that dangerous flyby stunt over the U.S. destroyer. Many Americans, though, are understandably worried about how those older Venezuelan planes could have gotten so close to the American warship without so much as a warning shot being fired by the U.S. Navy warship at those planes. Some have even speculated that the Venezuelans, a partner of the Russian military, may have been given access to a secretive, powerful Russian electronic warfare weapon that can supposedly blind the systems on American warships. Our next guest, Brandon J. Weichert, and is now the host of the National Security Hour on iHeartRadio, which airs every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, as well as being the senior national security editor at the National Interest, has an idea of what happened. So, Brandon, indulge us. Oh, we don't have sound. Are you on mute? I guess they don't want him to share this very important insight with us. Brandon, hand signals here. No, that's funny. You know what? Here's what I think we do. We are almost out of time anyway. this is just a teaser. This is a little primer for you all. We're gonna table this on Monday. You all do a little research, and we'll have Brandon back on Monday, and we'll make sure we can hear him. It's very interesting. This does happen sometimes when we're talking to Brandon Weichert, who is very well sourced, not just here in the U.S., but across the globe, into geopolitics and particularly military operations. So I suspect that's the reason we can't hear him today. In the meantime, I will let you know that you can go to mypillow.com and use your promo code TRUTH, where Mr. Mike Lindell is running a fabulous sale on those wonderful Percale bed sheets. Any size, just $29.88. Any size, just $29.88 when you go to mypillow.com and use your promo code TRUTH. As you know, the big box stores have all attempted to silence and cancel Mike Lindell, but you can help support the good folks over at MyPillow. Remember, he employs a lot of wonderful people. They support this show right here. You can do that by going to mypillow.com and using your promo code TRUTH, or you can call the toll-free number you see right there at the bottom of your screen if you prefer to talk to a real person. I know often I do, and you can understand them. Great customer service representatives here at MyPillow. Call 800-944-5396. 800-944-5396. All right, well, that's it for me in this hour of the absolute truth. As you know, there's a lot happening still at the White House today. Kara Castronova will be taking you through all of that next in DC Live, as well as Allison Steinberg with all the latest from Washington, D.C. as we head into the weekend. So lots happening. So don't tune out yet. It's a Friday, y'all. And though you think that's when people rest, not in the Trump White House. Often we get very big breaking news on a Friday, and you can follow all of that without the bias, without the left-leaning narrative that all the other networks pretty much have to adhere to, by staying tuned right here on LindellTV.com. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, I recommend that you do so. Be sure to go to the App Store or whatever store on whatever device you have. Download it. You can get us on Roku. Follow us on X at Lindell TV. Also, Vocal. If you have not downloaded the Vocal app yet, you can go to vocal.com where you can download it on your device. I'm on there at Emerald Robinson. Plus, you get all kinds of special insights, special content from many of our hosts on there, especially our very own Silk of Diamond and Silk. She particularly loves Vocal, so be sure to go to vocal.com and download that app. We made it to Friday. We're almost there, not quite yet. I'm glad you came with me on this ride today at noon. You can see me back here at 8 p.m. Eastern time as well. And that's the absolute truth. Have a great weekend, y'all.